Wasp, issue number 2. That's right, folks. My favorite first issue of the year has finally got its sequel, issue number 2 of the Wasp. In between issue 1 and issue 2, I dropped my huge episode of the Geekwave podcast talking about Janet Van Dyne. So if you want to hear an extended rambling of my thoughts on Janet as a character and where I think she has fallen flat in terms of the Marvel continuity, that episode is available to listen to. 30 minutes of me just going on about how much I love this character, what she means to me, what she means to the Marvel Universe, and how she has been betrayed by not allowing to be grown into another top-tier character and cuckolded by the movies. I am really upset at how the movies have treated her, but that's a whole other topic. This is the only issue with an Ant-Man or a Wasp coming out before Quantumania. So that's exciting, I guess. It's kind of cool. I still really like this book. I'll always be a champion for a Janet Van Dyne story. Seeing her come into the world, I think, is really cool. This issue is great, and I had so much fun with it. It's nice to see, the character's history is being explored, the entire mythology of the Wasp is being explored. 60 years of this character, and it feels like we're just, reaching the, precipice of what she can do. That's kind of exciting, I gotta say. That's pretty cool. So we open up this book. In the raft, we have just arrested David Cannon, the Whirlwind, and he's giving us a speech about how he is a mutant, because he is a mutant, but he's not buying into that hocus-pocus Krakoa crap. He's even like, when it all comes crashing down, they ain't gonna run to me. I ain't helping them when that all comes down. Which I think is kind of interesting. I guess it does explain why Whirlwind wasn't present in the Krakoa stuff, so that's kind of fun. He doesn't buy into that crap. Cool to see Ewing bring that up in this book. Pretty cool. But he is at the raft, of course, and Nadia and Janet are outside talking to him. He is connected to some organization that goes by the name of Whisper, and Whisper will bring a familiar name to the world of the Wasp, because when Nadia and Janet first kind of met earlier in their run, which would have been almost a decade ago now, Whisper agents were the ones that tried to kidnap Nadia. And that's kind of a really good pull for a book like this, which makes a lot of sense, because that's kind of bringing in a villain for Nadia, who is a Wasp, and this is a book about the Wasp. That's very exciting. I do like that. I think that's kind of cool. And it's just kind of a connection about the two. Not really sure how it's happening. Janet's I thought we wiped them off the face of the earth. I know we were focused on the second superhero civil war during that time, but they haven't really been present during that. But of course, Nadia, being the overachiever, she has kind of studied it for a bit, but she didn't want to bring it up to Janet because she didn't want to you've done enough for me already. I don't want to burden you with my problems. And we get one of the healthiest dynamics in all of Marvel Comics between a parent and their child, because Janet's just look, I am here for you no matter what it is. We'll figure it out. So just tell me, what do you know about Whisper? A little bit of a rundown for you folks if you don't know, because of course I don't know. It's just a bunch of characters. So the first was the Wasp, which was the German name for a wasp. It was created by Ewald Scorpion, and then he kind of became a lower incarnation of the Red Room stuff, a third-rate version of it. Then they grew up, and then it kind of morphed into what the Whisperer was going to be, and he took on that identity, and it pretty much grew into the Whisper organization. Essentially became disbanded until the Maker returned, and then the Maker built it up as a new thing in that kind of story. So the question is, was Whisper always destroyed, or was it hiding in the shadows the whole time, thinking it was gone, but actually the facade that the Maker made for Whisper was actually just a ruse kind of thing? Which I'm okay. Didn't think we'd be getting a Maker reference in this book, but works for me. No problem with that. So as they were doing that, we also see that Nadia gets a measurement on a compound that she tested that was on Whirlwind's head, in the writing. It matches a substance of formic acid, and Janet instantly knows what that is. It is a residue that you'll know is the Kosmos, which is what killed her father. So that's kind of cool. So Janet is okay, we gotta go. And Nadia makes this little, I guess, kind of clicker to read where the energy is coming from, and they're kind of following it through the city, where after Nadia just revealed all her history and that kind of stuff, Janet reveals well, this is the person that killed my father. And it was hard to defeat him the first time. It took a bunch of military. It hardly worked. It was hard to do that. And I know you probably want to do this alone, Janet, but you don't have to. That kind of a thing. I love this artwork. I know I say that all the time. This is such a strong like characterization for both of these girls. They just look amazing, and the colors are so shiny. I've never been the biggest fan of like the Wasp and like the black and yellow, but I get that's what we're going for. It's just gorgeous to look at. Just sweeping epics when it like cuts to like flashbacks of a certain coloring. It is so beautiful and vibrant. Just a gorgeous book. Utterly gorgeous. So fun to read. So as they're headed down, they might need some help from some other superheroes. Janet puts in a call to Jarvis because he's kind of working to like get the penthouse all set up, and she's like, look, if you can get a hold of anybody, just leave a message saying this is happening and where we're going, that kind of stuff. Just let it know. I'll call you back every hour, Jarvis, but until then, thank you for all your help. I love that's the relationship we're building up here. Janet and Jarvis, like two characters from an early incarnation of the Avengers who aren't really talked about much in today's stories. That's kind of fun. I like it. So they track the signal. It takes them to this old building. Very clearly something evil. Before anything else can happen, the girls are attacked by a robot wasp. I'm like, yep, okay, I'm fine with that. If that's what you wanted to do here, I'm all on board. I like that. So it's in like the classic Wasp costume. Really emotive face on the robot. Knocks Jan down, so she comes down for the count for the moment, and that's when a hive or swarm, pick your wasp-related pun, of robot wasps just show up, and this is Phantasma, who is I guess an AI that worked for like AIM, and is also working for Whisper, and it has an army of all of Janet's different costumes throughout history. And do you ever just look at like a picture, and you see like all the costumes of a character's history, and you're like, damn, this character has never had a bad incarnation? That's kind of how I feel about Janet Van Dyne. I don't think the character has had a bad costume. There's some that are weird, but they're not bad. I love the blue and white. That's always going to be one of my favorite ones. And I love like the green kind of like retro 70s look. But she is just full of awesome costumes. So as Janet is down for the count, it's going to be Nadia against Phantasma, and because she is an agent of the Red Room, we get a couple of pages where it's just Nadia kicking the crap out of some Wasp robots, and you gotta commend it. It's pretty sick. She's holding her own pretty well until one of them is left, and then you think it's gonna be over. You know, they're surrounded, they're done, but then Janet gets up and beats the last one down, and everything just kind of over for a moment. And you just gotta like look at these old costumes for Janet and realize the modern one is just a little too over-designed, right? I'm not the only one that thinks that. Like even the final robot that they're fighting in like the popped collar with the yellow, with like the W on the boots, it looks better, right? Like it looks better. But the girls team up, they punch the final robot, Phantasma kind of like gets away, and you're like, okay, we'll worry about that later. I think we should just continue walking into the building that's clearly harboring whatever's waiting for us on the other side. So that's what the girls do. They pick up their meter, they walk inside. We get a nice scene where the clock is ticking. It is 5 minutes past the hour where Janet was supposed to call Jarvis. He's like, well, I didn't get anybody calling back that's an Avenger. That worries me. I wonder if I should call her. It is just 5 minutes, but she is so precise on time and she's so cool. Something's got to be wrong. So, maybe Jarvis is going to do something. That'd be cool. Is he going to put on like a yellow jacket suit or something and go in there to save the day? That'd be kind of fun. So they're headed down like this abandoned room, obviously this creepy looking place. They're headed down this corridor to all the scary stuff. It's very clearly just setting up exactly what's about to come. And guess what happens, folks? They open this door, and there is the Kosmos. It has control of the Scorpion Man that we saw that Nadia was talking about. It's a big goo hanging on the side of a building. It gets Nadia and Janet to look it in the eyes, and suddenly the girls evaporate and turn into nothingness, and their costumes descend onto the ground. Yeah. That's the stuff I love, man. That's the stuff I love, because I'm going to assume next issue we're going to have somebody put on a Wasp costume. Wasn't there like a guy for a minute that was a Wasp too? And we're going to all come back and save the day. You just love to see it. You love to see it. It's great. A big gooey monster turns them to nothing with beautiful art, vintage stylings, and we get a moment where we see every incarnation of the Wasp's costume. What else do you want from a book like this? This is pretty much what you need to set up for like Janet's status quo going forward. She has her own world she can deal with. She has a healthy relationship with her daughter. It's pretty much perfect. I have literally no complaints about anything this book set up. Is it exactly what I would have done if I was writing a Wasp book? No, but that's why I'm not writing a Wasp book. I would have done something differently. Maybe not as good. This is strong. It's awesome. And I want more people to be reading this. I want this to like kick off like a new launch where it's like, we're going to put Janet on the book again. When was the last time she like spearheaded an Avengers team, you know? Is a shame that she's not really like pushed into the forefront more often, but a beautiful book. Everything worked well. I still want everyone to read this. Please, please, please read this book. Let it sell great because it's just awesome to have her in books, man. It's so good. So, Wasp, issue number 2, I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Hive. Hey, pretty good. I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.